going on, family? This is another episode of the Winning Shot Podcast. We're your hosts, Collin and Jon, and we appreciate y'all tapping into that episode with us today. Um, yeah, it is the 10th of July, and we're getting closer and closer to NFL season. So why not talk about some upcoming things that we're looking forward to this NFL season with training camp right around the corner, and then the season soon to follow. Before we get into all that, Colin, brother, how are you, man? It's been a minute since we chopped it up on the pod. What's going on? I see you got some new plants there to your right. What's going on with
Yeah,
you, brother?
man. I'm good, man. Been on the road, so today was all about catching up. What stuff I need to do in the house. Got to cut this grass, man. Trying to become like a little plant connoisseur. So getting plants around the house, planting some flowers outside. So I'm trying to compete for the top yard in the neighborhood. This guy down the street got me beat, but I think I get some points for doing it myself because I see he has some workers out there. So um, excited, man. Excited for the show.
Yes, sir, brother. I too am competing for top yard of the neighborhood. My neighbor across the street and my neighbor beside me are always in constant competition with them, just for like best grass. That's the first thing, right? And shout out to Colin because he put me on some grass seed. Now I do need to put some more of it down. I do. I will say that. So my grass do need a little bit of help. However, it does look good. I cut it last week. It looks good. Looks manicured. I also am a plant dad. I do have several plants. I've really have fallen in love with them. My mother-in-law put me onto them. Got me some elephant ears outside. Got some monsteras outside. I got some hospice outside. So yeah, man, we getting straight to it, bro. Honestly, watching the plants grow and maturing them and putting them fertilizer and all this stuff like that, bro. It's been really. I ain't gonna lie, it's been cool to see. I didn't
Yeah.
think I would like enjoy that jump. Like it's one of those home ownership things, I guess. It's like, yeah, I did that too. You know what I'm saying? Like watching that junk grow. That junk is tough. So
Now, in your grass, are you a horizontal lines kind of guy or diagonal?
okay, so when I'm cutting the front, I go horizontal. I'm
All
cutting the
right.
back, I go diagonal. So
Uh,
it really just depends for me. It really just depends for me. It's better for me to go up and down in the front, and then in the back, it's better to do it because it's like more space. I can cut it the way I really want to. The front, I try to do it that way. The lawnmower is like, nah, because like the front of my lawn is like kind of hilly, so like the back is all straight. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier to
yeah,
cut the way I want to. So it's learning that stuff, bro, is a lot for real. I was like, dang, just stuff I got to learn for real. I mean, of course, I used to cut the yard growing up, but it's all flat. This is not, like I said, my front yard is not flat. So yeah,
yeah.
it's a grind for sure, but it's
Nah,
worth it.
I feel that. I feel that. And we got a lot of stuff to get into, man. And a lot of stuff
Facts.
that's happened with this NFL season, bro. I just wanted to kind of start with a little game. Wanted to get your ideas about who the top receiver in the league is currently,
Hmm.
but we're gonna break it down in terms of specific attributes, so we can
Okay.
see as the specific attributes like who's the best at this certain thing.
Yeah.
So
All right. Sounds good.
now this is only current receivers in the league right now. So let's
Hmm.
let's start with route running. Who's the best?
The best route artist in the league at this current moment in time. Um, let's see. I'd have to go. hmm, Is it going to be? It's probably gonna be Jamar, bro.
I was thinking that. I was
I'm thinking
yeah,
Jamar Chase is the best
yeah.
route runner in the league, bro.
I was thinking Jamar Chase or Puka Nakua, but in
He's
terms
also
of
good.
like route running, I think I'm gonna go Jamar Chase too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what about speed?
Fast receiver in the league, golly. Um, but see, speed don't have to mean that they're good, right? They can just mean they fast.
Yeah, just the fastest.
Straight line speed, fastest guy in the league.
I'm surprised you're not going with your boy
Who?
Zay.
Fastest? Nah, they're not the fastest. Um, fastest receiver in the league. Maybe Matthew Golden out of from Green Bay.
Yeah, yeah.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah. I got Jamison Williams. I
Oh,
think
you're right.
his
You're
straight line
right.
speed is insane.
He's fairly fast as well. I'll second that motion. Shout out JMO.
All right, what about pass catching and hands?
Jettis.
Hmm.
Let me say
I
Jettis for me.
I got Amon Ra.
Okay.
I
I'm not
led.
mad at that pick.
Yeah, I
I
feel
think
like he's
Jettis
just a
has just
solid
honestly
basketball.
been without a quarterback. So it's like
That's true.
when he had even when he but even when he had somebody solid, like he ain't gotta have anybody short. Even if he had somebody solid, Jettis going to get it.
Yeah,
So, but no, I do go get it too. So I'm not mad at that.
yeah. All right. What about tough catchability?
Mm, tough catch. I'm gonna still say Jettis. Either Jettis or Amon Ra. And I can
Yeah,
also add AJ Brown in there.
yeah. I got Justin Jefferson. And
Yeah.
low key, I feel like George Pickens is a tough catch player, but
Yeah.
I think in terms of better, I think Jettas for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what about elusiveness?
No, that's Zay Flowers. I think
Yeah,
Zay is probably the most elusive guy in the league. I ain't gonna hold you. He really just shifty, but Buddy really just really twitchy. So I'm gonna say Zay for that. It's probably gonna be unpopular to the viewers, but
nah, I got
y'all
Zay.
watch some Zay tape
Yeah, I got Zay and Puka Nakua, but I think Zay definitely is elusive. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how he kind of he's fast, but I feel like his like claim to fame is his ability to get open and like avoid.
hmm
All
Facts.
right, what about physicality and strength?
I'm gonna go AJ. I think AJ just the big body. And then I mean, they got strong receivers in the league, of course, for sure. Also, I mean, Amon Rock also fit that as well. Amon Rock is also really strong too. Um, I'm gonna say AJ though. I'm gonna go AJ Brown.
Yeah, I got AJ Brown and I got DK Metcalf. Um,
Yeah, both
I
them
think
physical
DK kind of
specimens
had a down year, but I feel like he can still be in
for
one of
sure.
the top, at least one of the strongest receivers in the league. All right, the last one is yards after catch.
Yak. Um, Yak. I'm gonna go. I think Zay's a contender for Yak. Zay Flowers is a contender for Yak. I think Jamar Chase is a big contender for Yak. Um, let's go with yeah. Let me stick with Jamar and Zay. I think those are really good Yak guys.
Yeah, on my list, I got Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I got
Okay.
Puka Nakua. So
Okay.
I feel like I got to show Jackson Smith and Jigba some love, especially
Definitely
after you.
got to. After that last season you have, you got to for sure. Shout
So
out Jigga.
right now, who do you have as the best receiver in the league?
For me, it's a still top three, and it's I'm gonna still give it to Jamar Chase, but it's slightly over Jettis, slightly over Jettis, just slightly, just because when I see obviously as a Ravens I see Jamar twice a year, and that man he's in the things he does, bro. I mean, honestly, our defense has been abysmal in the secondary for the past couple of years. That's been a
Yeah,
part of it, but it's not just us. He does work against a lot of other teams as well. So Jamar is up there, bro, and Jettis is right there. Of course, JSN obviously after the season he had, but consistently, I'm gonna go Justin and Jettis. Yeah, sorry, Justin and Jamar. Excuse me.
yeah, I got Justin number two, and I got Jamar number one. I
Yeah,
think number three is questionable because I feel like you could put Puka there, but I feel like Jackson Smith and Jigma definitely deserves a
hmm
conversation after
for
last
sure,
year.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, what wide receiver do you think has the most approved going into this next season?
Most approved. Um, let me think. I think Zay has a lot to prove. Zay Flowers, because not only is this a it's a big contract year for him. Um, I think the Ravens receiving core as in general has always been looked down upon, no matter who we've had out there, and people still aren't saying that Zay Flowers is a wide receiver one for us. You know what I'm saying? So I think he had 1,200 yards last year. So I think this is another opportunity for him to go get 1,500. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to do what you got to do and show that you are who we as Ravens fans know you to be. Um, Another big prove it year. I think the Packers receiving core also has some things to prove as well. So I'm gonna go Christian Watson, excuse me. Um, he's dealt with a lot of injury in his career, but I think when he's healthy, he's solid. He's a very solid receiver for that team, as well. And I think they got rid of Dontavian Wicks. They got rid of what's the other guy? They got Romeo Dobbs. So I think he has a clear opportunity, him and Matthew Golden, to kind of step in and really show that they can be top options for Jordan Love this year. So I'm gonna go those three guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about my teams. Obviously, Alex Pierce has a lot to
Yeah.
prove, especially getting paid that kind of money. because we have him nowhere in the top 10 conversations. But I feel
Yeah.
like he has, there's flashy moments
Yeah.
from the past 2 seasons that he's been in the league. But all of that was with Michael Pittman. Now he's the sole number one receiver with
Mm-hmm.
Josh Downs. And so he's going to be expected to get at least 1,000 yards. That's going to be like the floor. So I'm curious to
Facts.
know how many big play moments he has from there. Um, I think Garrett Wilson, like he's another
Yeah.
guy. Um, Obviously they have Geno, but they're going to be tanking for the next 2027 draft. But I feel like in terms of that top five, six, 6, 7, 8, we haven't listed him, and I'm curious to know, like coming out of college, like he was perceived as the one, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
being another Ohio State running back. But it
Mm-hmm.
seems like in terms of the league currently, Jackson Smith and Jigba really took on that role, right?
Yeah.
And so, in terms of the trajectory, I feel like he could either become in those top 5, 10 conversations, or he could phase out and be, an average one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Um, the last dude is Marvin Harrison Jr.
I was
Because
just thinking about him.
yeah, like same kind of thing with the Ohio State wide receivers. Like I feel like just like Jackson Smith and Jigba messed it up for a lot of them because like his
Thanks.
timeline is like very shortened in terms of like what he's been able to do in a short amount of time.
Right.
And I feel like for Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously you got ties with his dad, but he was really piss poor at some points last season. He kind of
Mm-hmm.
picked it up later in the season, but you know we can't blame just the quarterback anymore. Like Jacoby Brissett's a durable quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously, regardless of quarterbacks, the top receivers have definitely risen to the top. So I feel like he's one of those ones who we got to stop giving him excuses all the time.
Yeah, that's a good list, brother. I'm not mad at that. I was just also thinking about Marvin Harrison Jr. because I mean it's easy to get lost out there in that desert, and one more bad season, and people gonna forget about him out there in the desert for real.
Yeah.
And coming into the league, like you said, he was what number 2 or 3 overall pick out of Ohio State, bro. People were thinking he was gonna be the one, right? So like, he gotta make some noise. Or you risk being forgotten. But
Fact.
that also could low key work in his favor, but that's another discussion for another day because he could get out of Arizona. But hey, wishing you the best, Mario. Because obviously, you want to maximize, right? So that way, when it is time for you to get paid, even if you decide not to stay in Arizona, you get paid wherever you want to go. You know what I'm saying? And if you have a down year again, people gonna be reluctant to pay you top dollar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
All right, brother. So we've gotten the draft out of the way, and
yeah,
I would think we're a month away from the first game in preseason.
facts.
So I need John's top 10 list. You can either start from 10 to 1 or go from 1 to 10. I need to know who your top 10 in the league right now is in terms of teams.
Top 10 teams in the league. No particular order. I'm gonna give you 10 teams though. Now if you want them in the order, I can do my
Nah,
best.
just give it to me.
Okay, top 10. Okay. Obviously Baltimore's in the top 10 for sure. Top 10, I'm gonna also say will be Philly. I think that let me see who else I want to put up there. A lot of teams, bro. Let me think about this really quick. Should have had this together. We can go Baltimore, Philly. I'm gonna say Detroit. Obviously the Rams. Rams are up there. The Seahawks are still up there. How many teams is that? Let me do some math. Baltimore, Philly, the Rams. I said Detroit. I said um, Seattle. That's 5. I think Buffalo's still gonna be up there, top 10. That's 6. Uh, I'm gonna go AFC, AFC, AFC. Texans, top 10. I think that's 7. I'm gonna say I'm debating on the Jags. I'm debating. I don't know though. I don't know. I feel about the top 10. Um, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say nah. I'm gonna say Patriots still top 10. They just went to
Okay.
Super Bowl.
Was that
I'm gonna
8?
say 8. Broncos still top 10. And NFC, I'm gonna go. Huh. Did I say Packers?
Yeah, you did. I think you.
Okay. If I said Packers, take them out of the top 10. I don't think they were top 10. Um, yeah, I don't think they were top 10. I was trying to make sure I didn't say Packers actually. Um, let's go. I'm gonna shake it up. Give me Dallas. Give me
Solid.
Dallas top
All right,
10.
so one more team.
Um, let me see. So I know I'm missing something I didn't say. Let me look this really quickly. Really quickly.
I'm surprised you didn't say the Niners.
They could be top 10. They could be. Let me just make sure because I only have one spot left. Let me make sure I'm picking the right people here. Hmm. They could be top 10 too. Let's let's go Chiefs. Let's go Kansas City. I'll put them in the
Okay.
top 10. Patrick should be back this year. Let's go Chiefs.
All right, I'm gonna go Buffalo,
Okay.
Baltimore,
Yep.
Texans,
Yep.
the Broncos. That's four.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Kansas City five.
Okay.
I'm gonna go the Chargers six.
Okay.
I'm gonna go the Niners and the Rams. So that's 7, 8.
Uh huh.
No particular order.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'm gonna go Detroit,
Detroit. Okay. One more.
and then I'm gonna go Seattle.
Okay. Okay. Very solid 10. I like that. I like that.
My I want to put the Eagles up there. Like, granted, I just
Yeah.
don't know what they're gonna look like outside of AJ Brown. I feel like they're
That's
right
true.
there.
That's
And
true.
I know I'm gonna get some Philadelphia hate, but I just don't
Oh,
want
for
to
sure.
disappoint top 10 just because
Yeah.
historically they.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
mad at that. That's a solid top 10. That's a solid top 10.
yeah. I feel like, I'm curious to talk about this Cowboys because, like, I wanted to put them in the top 10 too,
Yeah.
but, like, I guess, like, going into next season, like we talked about just doing the round robin with these teams, but, like, let's start in Dallas. Like,
Okay.
so Dallas, obviously has Dak Prescott back. You got CD and
Hmm.
George Pickens came, but I feel like they still have some questions at running back,
Yeah.
and they're putting together a decent offensive line. Defense is gonna be stacked. I feel like they've made some great moves on defense.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting Quentin Williams and the trade with Micah Parsons. They got a lot of picks that
Hmm.
they address the defense. Like, I know you had Dallas in the top 10. I was going to put Dallas in the top 10, but I was kind of shaky. But how do you feel about Dallas going into the season?
Yeah, bro. I've said this on a previous podcast, but I think Dallas will win the division this year, bro. I think that, like you said, that much improved defense. They went and got Caleb Downs in the draft. Got Quentin Williams down low. They got Rashawn. They have Rashawn Gary as well down low.
It's yep.
Um, so I mean, I think they got some decent corners out there as well. I believe that the defense will be much improved. I think the issue for Dallas has been obviously that defense in the past couple of years, right? I think the addition of Caleb Downs, plus I think they have a solid corner. Keep forgetting. I think Rebels out there from ECU that was from a couple years ago. He should have been a first round pick, but he got tore ACL. I think he's still out there in Dallas, if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah, he
mistaken.
is. He is.
Um, the defense will be much improved. Offensively, obviously, that's a good offense. You got George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and then they got Javonte Williams, I believe, running back.
Hmm.
So I mean, I think that would be, and then Dak is solid, bro. I mean, Dak is not elite, right? But like Dak gets the job done, right? And I think he in the regular season, I think he'll be able to do enough to lead them to a divisional championship. Now, obviously, they always compete in that division, right? They never scared of Philly going into Philly or at the crib. I think the Giants will be better, but I don't know if they'll have enough to beat Dallas twice, right? I think they may split, and then the Commanders will be better as well. But I'm gonna take Dallas in at least one over in at least one. So I think they're gonna have to sweep the Giants or the Commanders out. I don't think they're gonna sweep Philly this year. But they sweep either Dallas or the Commanders. I think that'll give them the division title at 4-2 in that division. So that's why I have Dallas win the division this year. I know Cowboys fans and Commanders fans are not going to be happy with that at all. And other Giants fans, you just happy to be here. But I truly believe that Dallas this year will be able to, and it's not going to be like by a landslide, not like that. They're going to have probably close games, divisional tough stuff as well. But I think that they can get the job done out there in Dallas. Now, what they do in the playoffs, can't say. I have said, and I'm gonna stand by my what I said that they will win one playoff game this year. I can't if it's the wild card game, so be it. But they will win one playoff game this year. I think as a Dallas Cowboy team.
Wow.
So I think they're moving in the right direction. Are they Super Bowl bound? No. That the NFC is in the hands of the Rams or the Seahawks. This is still in their hands. Um, but I think that they are moving in the right direction with the acquisitions that they've made, the drafting that they've done. Now the question becomes, what do you do? And with George Pickens looking to get paid, what do you do after this season? So yeah, I think there's some questions looming after the season, but going into the season, everything looks good, bro.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, Dak is an established vet, so I don't
Yeah.
really think that there's going to be too much more we're going to see, or I don't think he's going to have a bad year. I feel like he's going to be kind of the status quo in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But they built, a nice team around him. Like you still got George Pickens, obviously
Mm-hmm.
CD Lamb, and even with their offensive line, like you got Tyler Guyton, the
Yeah.
boy from Alabama, Tyler Booker that you got in the
Mm-hmm.
draft 2 years ago, I believe. But like even around there, you still got like Terrence Steele. But the problem is, like I said, is just with the running back room. Like Javonte Williams is nice, and I think they even got Maffa from Clemson. But I just don't know if you have 1,000 yard back in that room. And I feel like for Dak, he needs a solid running game, good offensive line in order to be like elite Dak. When we
Mm-hmm.
think about his first couple of years when he had um, that Travis Frederick, that Hall of
Yeah.
Fame offensive line with Ezekiel
Right.
Elliott. I feel like that's when we got the best of that. Obviously, defense is not going to be a concern for me because, like, I think at every level, maybe outside of linebacker, like you got guys who can make all pro teams,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think the ceiling for Caleb Downs was going to be all pro. So I feel like he's a
Yeah.
potential Hall of Famer if he stays healthy, of course. Like you said, they got Rebel. Trying to think who else do they have in there.
Yeah, and I'm looking it up now. I ain't gonna lie, I don't know the rest of these corners outside of Bland, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, corner may still be a slight issue, but I think Caleb comes in and is able to cover up some of that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's the effect, like you just mentioned, that he has on that defense, right? I think that pick for them speaks going to speak tremendously in the coming years because even if the corners are not the best, right? I think you'll be able to speak and say Caleb is able to kind of cover some of that fault. So
yeah.
yeah,
And like sneaky, like I know I'm gonna get roasted for this, but like even like with having Brandon Aubrey is automatic last year, and like I
yeah,
saw him at the Lions game, and like you know every possession the Cowboys had, they came away with points because of Aubrey, and I feel like that is gonna be X factor, especially in NFCs because like they're going to be in a lot of tough battles, even with the Giants. Now, it's not going to be a walk in the park. We
hmm
got Harbaugh coming in. I feel like if it's coming down to a tight game, you want to have the best kicker on your side. I'm sure as a Ravens fan, you can attest to that. So it's just like
yeah,
I think they put a well together team. Like you said, I don't think they're win now, but some people were talking about even Kamara get on the roster. I don't know Kamara at this stage what it's going to look like, but I
yeah.
feel like if the Cowboys continue to build, then by the time maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, you got guys who are ready to win now in terms of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's real, bro. I mean, I don't think it's a crazy statement at all. I think it's a very smart statement to say that Brandon Aubrey is the best kicker in football. And
Yeah,
I don't know, I don't even know if it's close, to be honest with you. Um, I mean, yeah, I think he can really make any kick that he puts his leg to, bro. I mean, but I think he's the highest paid kicker in the NFL,
yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm not mistaken. So, but and he's well worth that money. I think he's earned that contract. He's earned that right to say that he's the best kicker in football. I don't think there's really anybody in his way right now to kind of contest that title. So shout out
yeah.
to him.
Let's stay in the division. Let's go over to the Commanders. All right, Jaden Daniels was hurt last season,
Yeah.
but do you think that they bounce back? How do you think they're going to be this season?
I think they have to bounce back, bro. I think that Jaden is one of those guys where he brings energy to the team that's infectious, and I think that obviously, as you saw last year with him being injured, it affected the team tremendously, right? They still had a lot of the key pieces from the year before, but because of the injury to your quarterback, just like typically any team star quarterback going down, has effect on that team as well, right? So I think Jaden coming back gives them an instant spark to kind of push for a division title. I think that defense added in was Sonny Styles out of Ohio State from the draft. Um, and so was it Sunny? Or was it the other? Was it
Yeah,
the other?
Sonny's off. Sonny's off. You're right.
Um, so yeah, them adding in Sunny, bro, was tough for them. I think he's gonna be a great fit for them, great pick. At linebacker, I think they'll use him at linebacker, obviously, but he can go anywhere all over the field. I think he ran like a 4.3, He's 4'4". He's fast as crap. So I mean, he can really slide anywhere. They still got those corners. They added in Debo. I forgot. I actually forgot Debo was in Washington. But Debo and Scary Terry out there. I mean, that's tough. Um, so
I think Debo might be a free agent. I
oh
don't know if they signed him back.
well, never mind. He
Yeah,
was. Well, you still got Scary Terry. And that's a lot to have already by itself. So I mean, yeah, that's true. I remember they did. He is a free agent. That's very true. So they still have Scary Terry though for sure. Um, I don't know who their running back is. I don't know if Buddy's still there. McCroskey.
I think it might be Rashard White. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I think they did sign Rashad White from Tampa Bay. So that was a great pickup for them out there in Washington. Offensive line, I think is very good as well in regards to being able to protect Jaden this year. I think, and then defensively, like I said, I trust Dan Quinn to have them boys stepping on doing defense. So yeah, I think they're gonna be super solid this year as well, bro. Like I said, division, I'm still taking Dallas to win that division. And that's honestly strictly because Philly got rid of AJ, and like you mentioned earlier, I gotta see how they bounce back without AJ. I think Devontae's gonna be a great wide receiver one, and I think Makai Lemon's gonna come in and make some plays too as a rookie. But I think AJ was a piece that you had to watch, and I think
Yeah,
that you can respectfully. I don't think you're gonna have to double Devonta. I don't know if you have to double him every play. That's
yeah,
respectful. You know what I'm saying? Like I think some depending on the corner. Now, if you got sorry corners, Dallas may have to do some work. But I think if you have solid corners that can guard, I think you can guard him one on one,
yeah,
and still be able to and still be okay, right?
yeah,
So I think that's my downfall on Philly at the current moment. I think the defense is looking really good, really solid pieces, really young corners, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and they still got obviously got Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis down low. So I mean, they have really obviously young guys out there running around on the defense side of the ball. So I think that defense still be really good. Obviously, so Saquon can forget about Saquon Barkley on the offense side of the ball. So I think they were still be really good, but I think Dallas was barely. I'm not saying like I said I think they'll split on this season. I think they'll go 1-1. So I think Dallas can get at least one game against them this year.
yeah. I'm looking at the roster, bro. I think the Commanders might be the worst team in the division. Like,
Mm.
I, I'm just looking at the roster, and there's just no splash. Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
got Terry McLaurin. I don't know if he's like top 10. Um, I guess they're going to be starting Rashard White, who's nice. Obviously, I think Jaden Daniels is going to come back. He's getting closer to negotiating his contract, so I think he's definitely going
Mhm.
to bounce back. But I'm looking at the offensive line, like it's okay. Wide receiver outside of Terry McLaurin, you got Traylon Burks, okay, Luke McCaffrey. All right, I'm sleep. Um, Van
Yeah.
Jefferson, nice, but I mean, even the defense, like I think Deron Payne, obviously, you got a guy down low.
Yeah.
Um, and Chason from the Patriots. Curious to know what
Okay.
he's going to look like coming back. Luvu's
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
but
Would be nice.
and obviously Sonny Styles, but he's a rookie, so
Yeah.
maybe he can splash. But I don't necessarily want to put the entire defense on him. But in terms of rosters currently in the NFCs, I
Mhm.
think they might have the worst personally.
Yeah, I could see that, bro. I gotta see how the Giants look because I'm never gonna put them too high right now.
Yeah,
I think
even
Jackson
with
Dart will
Harbaugh,
be, huh?
even with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I mean Harbaugh's a great coach, but roster wise, I mean, you still gotta have pieces to move around out there, and I think they got Jackson Dart can be solid, and Scatterboo can be also solid. His neighbor's gonna be back healthy, potentially. That could help them tremendously if he is back. But if he's not back, that hurts tremendously as well. Defensively, they got what's the other linebacker from Ohio State last year? Is that
You got Brian Burns, you got
Brian
Abdul
Burns,
Carter,
Carter? I know they got Kayvon Thibodeau. They drafted Buddy from Ohio State. I can't remember his name for life of me.
Arvell Reese.
Marvell Reese. They got Marvell Reese. I don't know their corners. No idea who their corners are.
Yeah, I
So
don't know these guys either. I mean, Greg Newsome, he's solid. Uh, and then it gets it gets scary
it
after
gets
that.
scary. So yeah, so I mean that secondary can be an issue for them. I mean obviously that front seven's gonna be tough. We know that to be true. Offensively, I know they got Isaiah Likely now. He's a tough tight end, so great option for Mr. Jackson, Mr. Dart. So yeah, him
Isaiah
and
Theo Johnson, he's nice. They got him at the third round, I think. You
okay,
got Darius Slate and Malik Neighbors. Darn it, man! Come on, Giants have a way better roster than Washington. But
yeah,
stop
I
it.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see it. I'm not mad at that take that the Commanders can be last in this division. It would suck because that's another bad year for Jaden, which is affecting his bread. So he can't really afford it. But hey, so be it. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not mad at that take the Commanders last.
they got Maugawa from Miami, so hopefully
Oh, they
that
did
keeps
get
the
him. That's
offensive
true.
line. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. Giants gonna be
Okay.
nice. I don't think they're gonna win the division, but I think they're gonna be right there. They're gonna definitely give the NFC some tough battles, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I know you touched on the Eagles. Like I agree with you on the AJ Brown situation because I totally think that changes the dynamic of their, offensive construction
Hmm.
because it's going to force more pressure on, Devontae, Saquon. But I think even Jalen Hurts, like,
Yeah.
in terms of defensive coverages, like you said, like a lot of the consciousness for the defense was steering towards AJ Brown. That's what freed up a
Hmm.
lot of the gaps for Saquon Barkley. And I think it made the reads easier for Jalen Hurts because you
Yeah.
obviously know if you got two guys on AJ Brown is going to free up your guys like I think Jalen Rigo's on the team, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
But like I think moving forward, like you're telling Jalen Hurts, we're paying you all this money. Now you got to go produce. And I just
Hmm.
don't think Jalen Hurts is that type of quarterback. He definitely can surprise me, but I feel like the combination of Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, if we just go but quarterback and head coach duos, I feel like that's not even top 10 to me.
I'm not mad at that take, bro. I think I have a little bit more faith in Jalen Hurts, I think, than you do. I think that he'll be able to get the job done. I think the question becomes, okay, when you hand off the ball to Saquon and they know a pass is coming, all right, who's going to be your go-to? I think, of course, you still have Dallas Goedert out there. I think he's a great go-to tight end. But I know the Ravens got a lot of flack a couple years ago because it's like, okay, you hand the ball off, or Lamar can't run. He has to throw the ball to Mark, and then who? So now my question now becomes, I think, and obviously I'm sorry, no disrespect to you, Mr. Devonta Smith, once again, but it's like, okay, let's just say we put a double team on you. Do I trust Malachi Lemon to go 1-on-1 against somebody? You know what I'm saying? I know they also have Hollywood Brown. They also have Dots. I think is out there in Philly too, which is a lot of speed. Yeah, but all right, I'm gonna throw a safety over the top. Cool. You gonna throw deep every play? So I mean, like it really just becomes. I think this is a good challenge this year for Jalen, because he has a lot of weapons, right? And you can't just go to AJ. You can't just go to Dallas. Um, you got to really who's gonna be your best open guy. So I think Philly has a lot of weapons and guys that can get open. So it'll be a challenge for defenses, but it's also gonna be a challenge for Jalen to say, okay, who's my best read at this time. So I think I have faith in him to do that. But you're not faith in them as a team to win the division this year over Dallas. I
That's
know it's a
real.
hot take, but so be it.
That's real. So let's go over to the next conference. So the AFC East.
Okay.
So let's start obviously with Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to win the division.
Hmm.
So my thoughts going into the season was that once again I think that Josh Allen is going to have to carry. Now getting DJ Moore from the Bears, I feel like is a nice addition. Like this is a
Yeah.
solid guy on the outside who can produce, and I feel like they for much of Josh Allen's tenure they've been wide receiver by committee outside of the
Mhm.
Stephon Diggs years, and so now you shore that up with giving a guy like DJ Moore. Um, you know, the problem is who else? Who's going to step up? Outside of DJ Moore, you got Joshua Palmer. I think you still got McCole Harmon, Khalil Shakir. So I think outside of that, it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like. And I think for Keon Coleman, this is the year because the people were talking about bust last year, so
Yeah.
he's going to have to bounce back. Um, Obviously, I think James Cook is still one of the top running backs in the league, and obviously it's going to come down to that defense. Like you got Ed Oliver coming back. I think they even got Bradley Chubb from Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
You got Zane Durant, Penn State, I believe. He's a nice player. Um, and I guess on the back end, do they re-sign Tre'Davious White or not?
I think so. I think they
Yeah,
did. I think they did
I know
resign.
they got the dude from Kentucky,
Yeah,
Maxwell
here
Harrison.
Maxwell Hurston. Harrison,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you got some solid,
yeah.
linebackers.
Hmm.
Um, but for Buffalo, they're the only team in the division that it's Super Bowl of us for.
Mm-hmm.
Because and obviously Patriots probably the close, but they just made the Super Bowl, so I don't think the
Mm-hmm.
pressure's on them. But I feel like for Josh, this roster still needs work, but I feel like they have enough to get it done. What say you?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a blowout win for them. I think they can go 5-1 in the division this year. Um, I think Josh is back. And he's probably should be more focused this year. Like you said, like you mentioned, it's Super Bowl and bust time, bro. I think he's on the same, finally on at least in our eyes, on the same trajectory as Lamar Jackson, where it's like, all right, bro. I mean, you got pieces. They continue to surround you with pieces. How much more do you need, right? You got James Cook. They got your DJ Moore. You got Keon. You got Knox out there. You got Kincaid out there. I mean, we can go on a list, right? We can go on a list, and then defensively wise as well. Like you have pieces out there as well that can get the job done on that D line, which has been a pressure point. You know, they got a new coach, so it's like, who else we gonna blame now if McDermott's gone? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got a first year coach, but he knew he took this job from the because he was OC. He knew he took this job. It was gonna be locked in from the jump. So
Yeah,
I think that yeah, I think they easily win this division this year. Honestly, I don't really see the Patriots giving them any comp. Miami obviously sucks, and then who is the other team is in this division? Um,
Jets.
my goodness, Josh, if we can't win this division, we need to have a conversation, sir. We got to have a conversation. Really, and it's not gonna be nice. We're gonna have some. I'm gonna have some choice words for Mr. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, if they do not win the division this year with ease. Actually, so
All right,
yeah,
you heard it from John first.
I'm telling you.
I'm not gonna spend too much time on this division. Let's talk about the Patriots. We briefly mentioned them, but I guess their biggest move of the offseason was getting AJ Brown. But also with that, you get Romeo Dobbs, and I think you gave Drake May the weapons they needed. Looking at the roster last year, it seemed like even through the Super Bowl, they relied on their defense in order
Yeah.
to carry Drake. Drake obviously made some good plays, but I think the majority of it was how Vrabel constructed that defense. My only thing with the Patriots this season is just like this is the first year outside of Tom Brady leaving where they led the league in noise and distractions. And obviously some of it was with, the Vrabel situation, but the
Hmm.
Patriot way has never been that way. And so I'm curious
Hmm.
to know, adding in AJ Brown into that roster, I have no doubts about AJ Brown's talent, but what does that look like for the Patriots roster who already has this noise and distraction surrounding them? What happens when AJ Brown doesn't is not prioritized on, third down or something like that? Like
Yeah.
the same kind of noise that was surrounding Philadelphia. I'm curious to know if it was a Philadelphia problem or if it was an AJ Brown problem. So we're going to see
Yeah.
that firsthand. I still think their roster is nice. You got Barmore and Milton Williams who are going to, solidify the defensive line.
Hmm.
Still feel like they could have used the edge rusher. Um, I really feel like their weak point is not defense; it's going to be offensive line. We joked around in the chat about Will Campbell. I don't think Will Campbell is good personally. I think he was a bust, and I think you got guys like Caleb Lomo, you got Mertz, and you got Morgan Moses who are going to come in who are solid pros. But I feel like they were talking about moving him in the guard, Will Campbell. But if they leave him out at tackle, it's going to be Christmas for a lot of teams. And
Hmm.
so I'm curious to know protecting Drake is going to be the key concern and get establishing that running game
Yeah.
because I think a lot of your problems on the outside start to happen when you can't, prioritize the running game and get these guys open and load the box. So I think the Patriots obviously going to be second in the division, but in terms of the run that they had last season, I don't think we're going to see that again just because their schedule is getting harder. And I just think that they need a lot more weapons on the offensive line and in the trenches.
Yeah. I mean, you took everything, and I agree with you, brother. No notes. I think you hit everything on the head, brother. I personally didn't think that they were that good last year. I think they were just put in a very good situation with, and I've said this before, a lot of the top quarterbacks in the league were injured last year. We got to remember this. So I think that with those guys being back, those teams being healthy, I don't think that the Patriots will have the same kind of run, and they will have a tougher schedule this year because they won so much. So yeah, I don't think Josh likes losing in that division. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that Josh is going to win that division, and I think that the Patriots will be easily number two. I mean, like I said, the Dolphins and the Jets suck, so it's not going to be tough to come second in the division. But in regards to the AFC as a whole, I think that the Patriots will have a good year. but not as good as last year. I don't think they're going 13. I think when they 14-3 last year, 13-4, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't. I think they have a. They'll probably lose 7, maybe 8 games this year.
yeah, I'm with
So
you on that. Any thoughts from the Jets to Dolphins? You want to just move on?
not at all. Continue. Not wasting no time with neither one of them. a lot, a lot of destruction, a lot of tears. That's what's gonna be happening in both of those cities this year. Heck no, we're not wasting no time.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I agree. I agree with you. It's gonna be dark days ahead for both of
Yeah,
them. All right, so let's go to the NFC North. Chicago.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams going to next season?
Man, I like Chicago, bro. I think they're gonna have another good year this year. I was really surprised, honestly, by the step that they took last year under Ben Johnson in that offense. I think Ben Johnson, as well as the Ravens' new OC Declan Doyle, played a big part into the schematics and the success of that offense. But obviously, Caleb took a big step forward as well last year. I believe he continues on that trajectory with the help of Ben Johnson out there, who obviously called the offense for them. The question now becomes, what can that defense do now to kind of, add on to what your offense has already, done this year. And they once again they lost, DJ. So now you're really relying on, Luther Burdon and Roma
Yeah,
Doomsday
yeah.
and a lot of young guys out there. Then they drafted a tight end out of somebody. So they got a top tight end out there. So I mean, like, you got some pieces, right? You still got some guys out there that can get the job done for sure. But can the young guys step up and get it done? And then once again, I think that the premise and the challenge really comes down to what that defense can do this year to kind of stop teams from scoring on them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to know like what, like you said, losing DJ Moore, like
Mm-hmm.
and him going to the Buffalo
Buffalo.
Bills,
Mm-hmm.
like they need a pro on the outside. Like obviously you got Roma Dunze and Luther Burden, but who's ready to step up and take that slot? In terms of
Mm-hmm.
the number one receiver, and from Ben Johnson's standpoint, coming from Detroit, I think Ben Johnson got on the map having Amon Ra, Panay Sewell. Even when Detroit was really rolling, they had T.J. Hawkinson. So I
Yeah.
think it's going to be curious to know what it looks like with not a non-star laden team. I feel like you got
Mm-hmm.
great pieces, but just putting it together is going to come down to coaching because we know what Caleb can do. We know what the defense is, and even like you said, they got Colston Loveland and they still got Cole Kmet. But these are a lot of nice pieces. You don't have a
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
going to be on Ben Johnson to put these pieces together so you can have a good team. So obviously their schedule is going to be tougher. And now this is a Chicago team with expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So what is
Mm-hmm.
that going to look like for Caleb in terms of pressure and for Ben Johnson? So yeah.
And we got also the fact that they're moving out of Chicago this year, right? I think they're going to
Yeah.
Indiana this year for the first time in their franchise. So I mean, I think that that'll play a part into it as well, right? I think people will kind of look at it as like not that big of a deal, but when you moving out of somewhere like Chicago, where you've been your entire duration and the historicness behind the historical value of the Soldier Field and all that stuff like that, like I think that may play a factor into it as well, which is why I had them coming second in the division this year to the next team I think that you may go to in the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I was going to go to Detroit. So the biggest news in Detroit thus far has been the Terrion Arnold news.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Detroit announced that they released him. But they still have a good roster, right? You picked up Pacheco from the Kansas City Chiefs to go behind
Mm-hmm.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs steps into that number one slot, even though he was in the number one slot. You don't have David Montgomery anymore. Jared Goff, I think, is kind of like in that Dak situation where
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see anything more from him, but also too, I don't think he's going to decline. So I'm curious to know like what the offensive line looks like. You lost Ragnow, but you still got Sewell. And then, in terms of Jamison Williams, he's in a contract year. What does that look like in terms of being a Devontae Smith situation, or is he
Mm-hmm.
going to bank on himself and go somewhere else and get number one money?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is going to be like the defense. Like you got Hutch, but like I just said, at corner, what does that look like? You got, I think, Rocket Sin still on the roster from us, but with DJ Reed, how does the secondary look? Because the past couple of years, secondary has been their weak spot, and like you said, with the Packers, they got a couple of nice receivers. Chicago has a couple of nice receivers, and even we know what Minnesota has. how
Thanks.
can that secondary keep up with high scoring and high volume offenses?
Yeah, yeah, and that's real, bro. That's a real question. I think that Terry and Arnold loss will speak, come once the season does begin. I think, on the outside looking in, we're like, it makes sense. But I think looking at the ramifications of that, because you have to factor in what does that do to them, on the defense side of the ball, because yeah, Hutch can get you a lot of pressure, but if he does get that ball off, like you mentioned, oh my goodness, it could be curtains for the Lions, if they can't stop nothing in the secondary. So, they may have to make a move, bro, to kind of recoup that loss of Terry and Arnold. Um, so yeah, we'll see what happens, man, with Dan Quinn and the boys. Is it Dan? I'm tripping. Is his name Dan
Yeah,
Quinn?
Dan Quinn. Yeah.
Okay, I'm tripping.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Sounds like I feel that's all right. Okay, yeah. Dan Campbell. My bad, Mr. Campbell. Um, I think front seven wise, they'll be solid. But like you said, secondary got some questions. Offensive wise, have no questions at all. I think you got a phenomenal offense. I think it's top five offense in the league. Honestly, when they're rolling, Detroit's tough. Amon Rod, J-Mo, Gibbs, Goff when he's hooping, Panay Sewell. They got some guys on the offense, bro. Like Hawkinson, like you said, like they got some guys on the offensive side of the ball. So offense does not worry me at all. So I got to see how this defense reacts to this corner situation. So yeah, but I still, even with those pieces and the missing piece on that secondary, I think that they still win that division. So
All right, so I guess the most mysterious team in the division is Minnesota Vikings because we don't know what we're getting at quarterback.
next.
Everybody is telling me that Kyler's coming in, he's gonna change the offense, which I
Mhm.
hear, but I just can't get Arizona out of my head and just
Yeah,
Kyler as a person. I just don't know if that meshes well with what Minnesota's trying to do.
yeah,
Tell me what you think about Minnesota. I don't have any questions about the defense with Brian Flores, but
yeah.
let me hear your thoughts.
Yeah, bro. I think for me, it comes down to what Kyler Murray am I going to get. I don't have any faith in JJ McCarthy at all. So if he's the one up being a starting quarterback, they're poo poo. I mean, it's curtains for the Vikings. So it's in their best interest to start Kyler Murray. But then the question then becomes, can he turn it back up? Right. I mean, you have obviously two good receivers in Addison and obviously Jettis as well. So I think the onus becomes on Kyler, bro. I mean, get the job done. I mean, you have literally no excuses. One of the best receivers in football, and this offense should be decent, right? Defense, we already know, like you said, Brian's gonna have them boys moving all over the place. So Kyler's got to score, bro, and I think that's what it comes down to. I believe that if Kyler, and this is a big if, right, can get back to good playable form, bro, and get the ball to Jettis and to Addison and to all the other pieces out there. They got Hawkinson out there too. So I mean, am I bugging? Hawkinson's in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, and he was in Detroit at one time, right? Um, they got a different tight end now. But anyways, yes, I believe if he handles his business out there, they should be solid, bro. And they have an opportunity, honestly, to push for number two in the division. Um, so I think that they have to get some things done, bro. I think they. I know it's you said mysterious, but their ceiling is. I mean, I think their ceiling is number two in that division. I don't think they have enough to beat the Lions, but I think they can come second in that division, bro. I think the Packers not really there yet. Still, think they got some work to get done. Who was in the division? We got the Packers, the Lions, the
Bears.
Bears. Yeah, I think they can push the Bears for two, bro. I think they can easily push the Bears for two in the division. So, which could honestly land them into a wild card spot. So, yeah,
Yeah, like after the Sam Darnold fiasco, Kevin O'Connell was labeled the quarterback whisperer. Obviously, that didn't work with JJ McCarthy. But I think Kyler has the ability to bounce back. I just don't know what Kyler we're getting, and I
yeah,
feel like Minnesota owes it to Justin Jefferson to get a good quarterback. Um, but once again, I just don't know what I'm getting, so it's hard for me to make any fair evaluation until I see probably week one of
yeah,
Kyler Murray. Because I think he has all of the intangibles, and I trust that Brian Flores is always going to have them on the plus side of the field, and it's just going to be on Kevin O'Connell and Kyler Murray to get in the end zone. Obviously, you got Aaron Jones coming back, but Aaron Jones is another year older. What does that look like in terms of the running
hmm
back room? And with offensive line, I feel like you still have a couple of questions. But I could see second in the division, but I also can see last in the division, and I can see this being a dumpster fire, and them probably week 4 or 5 if Kyler's not working out. saying, "Hey, what's in the 2027 class?" and see if we can, position ourselves for a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not sold on it personally, bro. I've watched college too much to say he's
Yeah.
good. Um, the Packers. So one of the things that's noteworthy is that Micah Parsons is going to be out most of the season because he still is dealing with the Achilles recovery. Um, Defense is still solid, even without him last year. Um, and I feel like one of the things we talking about all these quarterbacks, like I feel like Jordan Love has been able to hide a lot just in terms of that top 10 range.
Hmm.
And, he's paid like a top 10 quarterback. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on Jordan Love and just like what that Packers offense looks like without Romeo Dobbs now.
Yeah, I think Jordan's good, bro. I think he's top 16 easily. I think he's top half of the league in quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah.
He's not in that top 10 right now for me personally, but top 16 for sure. I can give you top 16. I think you still got Josh Jacobs out there running back. Now, like I said, the question now becomes: can the receiving core stay healthy for one? Right, Matthew Golden and Christian Watkins, Watson. Can he stay healthy for once? They just paid him actually. He hasn't been healthy, so that was very interesting to me. Um, so that's a lot of faith. They got Musgrave out there at tight end. So I mean, I think he continues to be good at his position. Defensively, boy, I mean, if no Michael, boy, it might be curtains for Green Bay. That's when you mentioned them being last. I mean, I think when you mentioned the Vikings being last, I said there's no way after that Packers defense didn't get no better. And Michael's not going to be there. I just don't see a way that they cannot be. I don't think the Packers have enough to not be last in the division. Unfortunately for them. So I think it's gonna be some dark days ahead before there's some light. I think they got to do some work out there, bro, to recoup, especially with no Micah. If Micah's there, I think he makes a world of difference, right? But you lost Rashawn and no Micah and your secondary. I still can't name a corner or a safety out there. Yeah, it gets scary. I still remember Derrick Henry rushing for 4 touchdowns and almost 300 rushing yards on the ground against y'all. Like it wasn't that long ago. So I don't remember seeing any improvements that they made to like get better on that aspect. So I'm like, I don't have enough faith in them. While I think that Jordan Love is better than JJ McCarthy for sure. So if to your point, if JJ takes over, Minnesota's a dumpster fire. I still think Jordan can get enough done to beat the Vikings over a JJ McCarthy led Vikings. Now, if it's a Kyler Murray led Vikings, I'm going to take Kyler Murray slightly above the Packers and say they can be third over the Packers. So it really comes down to who the quarterback is in Minnesota, which I pray and hope it's Kyler Murray. I really hope they do not say JJ can be the one because he really can. So yeah, I think that's the end of my take on that division.
Yeah, I think the Packers can find a way though. They just have to hold on for at least 6 weeks till Micah gets back, and I feel like they can be a surprise team that's like, oh, they're 3-3, and they can make a late push. But I agree with you though. I agree. I just looked at the roster, their defense. I can't name a guy that's like elite, except maybe Xavier McKinney, but even that, it's like, okay, yeah, they're gonna have to just do it by committee. So yeah, it could be some dark days, but I don't know. I trust Mike LaFleur. I think it's Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur.
And,
Yeah.
the Packers always at least are in contention in terms of making a playoff spot. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's keep going to the AFC North. I'll let you take the lead with Baltimore Ravens and what your thoughts is going to the next season.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I think similar to the Buffalo Bills we talked about earlier, bro. It's fact to put up a shut up time, bro. I mean, Lamar, this is year 9, I want to say for Lamar. We got a brand new coaching staff in there, but once again, everybody knew what it was when everybody took these jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like we're coming in with an established roster. We're coming in with the health of Lamar Jackson. We're coming in with Derrick Henry. We're coming in with Zay. We got some draft pieces. We lost Tyler Linderbaum. Defensively, we still got, of course, Marlowe and Nate Wiggins and top two corners and top two safeties and Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks. Roquan Smith should be back healthy this year. I mean, D line wise, I mean, hopefully, Nnamdi Madubuike can come back. But we also did sign Calais Campbell. Now that may be up in the air. I believe he'll still play this season, but he just lost his mother. So I don't know how that may affect whatever. Obviously his mental health and all that stuff comes first. So football aside, wishing him all the best. But outside of that, we still got Travis Jones, Broderick Washington should be back. We drafted Zion Young out of Missouri. We got Mike Green, who I know you have enough faith in. But the young boy was hooping last year towards the end of the season when he came into his own. I think that having Jesse Mentor there takes that defense to a crazy level that we haven't seen in a good amount of years in Baltimore. So I believe with that being a catalyst for us defensively, we're gonna cook again. I believe with under Jesse, offense just got to lock in and handle their business. Right? We lost. Obviously, we lost Patrick, Project Pat. We lost Isaiah Likely. Keaton Mitchell's gone. But like I said, to my credit and to the Ravens' credit, we still got Derrick Henry for one, right? We still got Justice Hill, who had a great season last year as a backup and third down running back. We drafted Adam Randall. We got to see what we're going to get out of him from Clemson. Tight end wise, we drafted replacement tight ends. One out of Alabama, one out of BYU or SMU, excuse me. I think both of those boys should be decent. I'm excited to see Jacoby Lane out of USC. He's been getting a lot of buzz in Baltimore. 6'4", big body catch rate. He said who haven't really had that in Baltimore for Lamar to target recently, right? You got Devontae Walker, who is a speedy guy, right? So he'll be able to kind of take some snaps. And then we got Elijah Surratt, a wide receiver out of Indiana. I think he'll be able to come and make some noise as well. So I think we have some pieces and enough to win the division. I think not easily. I think that Cincinnati be right there with us. I think we'll be able to handle business. So I can see us going 4-2 in the division and maybe splitting with Pittsburgh and taking one L to the Bengals to win us the division at 4-2. We haven't won the division in a year or so. So it's time for us to get back. Yeah, I will start there, and I'll let you tell me what you got to think.
Yeah, I agree. Y'all have a lot of pieces. I feel like offense is going to be the biggest concern, specifically with the offensive line, because I mean you've got the Lamar Linderbaum connection for so long. Like I'm curious to know what that looks like.
Yeah,
The guy that y'all, I forgot his name, the guy that y'all replaced,
Vega.
yeah, from Penn State. Like I think he's
Oh
nice.
my
Um,
goodness.
is one of the guys that was, kind of one of the top offensive linemen going into the draft. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to get him solid. Obviously, for Mark Andrews, he's got to continue his production because you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that, you don't have that fail safe with Isaiah Likely. I think Cuevas from
Yeah.
Alabama was nice in college. I want to know how that transitions to the NFL. I trust Zay Flowers, but like you said, who's going to be the next guy? Like, is it going to be Bateman? Is it going to be
Mm-hmm.
Surratt from Indiana? And who's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the guy that kind of is a relief for Lamar Jackson? No questions at all at running back. People are talking about Derrick Henry is going to get older, but I feel like Derrick Henry takes care of his body so much that I don't see the same decline as other running backs.
Yeah. Same.
Um, Defensive wise, Trey Henderson is one of my favorite players ever. Been following him since New Orleans, so I think he's still going to attack the quarterback. I definitely think he's in play to lead the league in sacks this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he does that for y'all, that relieves a lot of pressure on the back end because I do feel a slight decline with Marlon Humphrey, and he's getting paid like one of the top guys, and so he's got to stay healthy, and still got to produce. But then you got Kyle Hamilton back there, so there's really no excuse on any level. Maybe linebacker. I'm not too familiar with who y'all got at linebacker.
Yeah.
But technically, Trey Henderson is a classified as a linebacker, but he's going to have his hand in the ground. But
Yeah.
like outside of that, that's the only part I don't really know much about. Nate Wiggins is, a good pro. I think he could be elite, depending on like the things I'm hearing this offseason. I heard one podcast where he said he's like 100% healthy for the first time in his career. So I'm curious to know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then on outside of all of that, you got Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter is one of the top guys defensively, so he can put these pieces together. The
Facts.
question for me is going to be on Declan Doyle because we have seen the woes of Baltimore's offense ever since the Greg Roman days.
Mm-hmm.
And Declan Doyle, he's not a name that many people know. And I'm just curious to know with him getting the reins of Lamar in that offense, if he can open it up.
Yeah.
And, if he doesn't, does Jesse Minter stick it out because that's his guy, or does he make the transition smoothly, or like make a quick pivot if he's not the guy? Because I feel like trying to hold on to him, if he's not the guy, it could hurt y'all more than it could help y'all.
Yeah, yeah, very very solid take, brother. I will say Teddy Buchanan was the other starting linebacker last year beside Roquan Smith. He actually had 93 tackles before he tore his
Oh
ACL.
yeah, Roquan,
Um,
yeah.
so I think that if he is able to come back healthy, which I think that he won't be back by week 1, but probably by like week 5, he should be back in the starting role. And in the meantime, we have Trenton Simpson out there, who's a guy who I have had some faith in previously. I think that
Yeah,
I think he has shown me some things out of Clemson. So I'm not I'm not mad that he's there, right? Playing in place of Teddy Buchanan while he's getting, getting the rest that he needs as well. I do agree that Declan has to kind of come in and make those plays, and make those adjustments. But I also think that helps the offense because people don't really know him that much, right? So like, yeah, we know he was in Chicago last year. We know he's 29. We know that he can come in and do what he needs to do. But because people don't really know him like that, it allows us to really come in with a mysterious offense. We can put up some crazy points early, right? Until people kind of try to really have an opportunity to get tape on what his philosophy is as a as an OC. So I think that can really work in our favor as well. I'm out there, and once again, I mean, you got Lamar and you got Derrick Henry. So I mean, you can make a lot of noise with both of them. So I have faith in Declan to handle business out there, and I'm sorry I didn't even mention Trey out there on the edge, right? I think he will have a crazy year under Jesse. I think Jesse, like I said, being a catalyst for the defense that we needed help on defense. We have been giving up crazy points through the air. We've been one of the worst pass defenses in the past 5 seasons. Run defense was also still been pretty solid, but I think everything takes a step up with Jesse on the defense side of the ball. I think the numbers will be crazy. I think the Ravens will be a top 5 defense in the NFL this year easily, and I think that puts us in easy contention to win this division. So
yeah, yeah. So I feel like the same way people were talking about Philadelphia, like every year we go into it like, man, the 76ers are going to win, the NBA finals, and then they disappoint, Embiid or
yeah,
injuries, you know. That's how I feel about the Cincinnati Bengals. Like on paper, it looks good. They made a
hmm
trade for Dexter Lawrence, which is, a good trade because they sure up, a lot of their
yeah,
help on the defensive line. Because the guy they got from Texas A&M, like he still hasn't, evolved into like an all-pro kind of guy. So,
hmm
still waiting on him. But in terms of key positions outside of receiver and quarterback, I feel like there's still a lot of holes on that team. But we're going into the year thinking the Bengals are going to compete for, the Super Bowl. And I just don't see it. I feel like
yeah,
we got to stop the Fool's Gold at this point. So
yeah.
that's my only take with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I'm not a big Zach, I was about to say Zach Efron, their
Zach
coach.
Taylor.
I forgot the name. Yeah,
Yeah,
Zach Taylor. Not a
yeah,
big fan of him, but I just don't see it with the Bengals. I feel like it's going to be middle of the pack. Joe's going to win them some games single handedly, but I just feel like they're not going to be an absolute contender.
yeah. I agree with that take, bro. I said this before the season, bro. I said, Zach's the only returning coach in the entire division. All the other division, the rest
That's
of
a
the
good
division got new
point.
coaches, right? So I think he, as the elder statesman, elder head coachman in the division, bro, I think it's up to him to say, hey, I still got it. And if he doesn't, I think this is it for him. I think it's hot. This is the hot seat time for him. I think if he does not win the division this year, doesn't get them to a deep playoff run, I think it's curtains. It's curtains for the Bengals at head coach. I mean, because once again, like you mentioned, bro, you got Joe Burrow, who is a easily top 5 quarterback in the league, right? Um, you got Jamar Chase, easily top 3, top 2 wide receiver in the league right now, right? You got T Higgins. I put in T Higgins easily top 12 receiver in the league, right? Um, I think I can give him 12, bro. Didn't you say that and say 10? I think I give him two. I can give T 12 to 15, bro. Easily 12 to 15 out there in the league, right? Running back wise, Chase Brown, I think he's solid, right? I think he's a B minus, running back. I think that defensively and offensive line, we gotta see what we got here and at corner, right? I think their problem has been that defense for the past couple of years, and obviously the offensive line. Has the offensive line got better? Can't really say that it has. So we'll see if they're able to keep Joe upright. I think that's been a big part of what's been happening in Cincinnati is Joe can't stay off the ground. And then defensively, obviously defense has been abysmal for as long as Joe has been there. So, with the addition of Dexter Lawrence, with the addition of, hopefully Shamar Stewart will be back playing this year and playing well, right? He was playing missing last year. He was missing last year. Even after that whole contract dispute. I think they got to make some noise. They have to make some noise. It's imperative that they do, and if they don't, yeah, it's wraps for them. And then the rest of the division, we'll go into it.
Yeah, I forgot they got Jonathan Allen too. So
Mm-hmm.
that defense line might be it would be solid. But
Yeah,
linebackers, I'm looking at the roster.
yeah. Barrett Carter out
Yeah.
there from Clemson, and who else?
Oren Burks, Jack Dingle, Eric Gentry, Joe Giles Harris.
Yeah. All right. Pittsburgh. Um,
I'm
uh,
snoring. No.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, this. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Joe. All right. Yeah, Pittsburgh. So I would say the biggest move was Mike Tomlin leaving, and
Mm-hmm.
so this is going to be the first full year with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is like the whole Aaron Rodgers saga, I feel like people are getting tired of. But in terms of like the roster, I don't know if the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that we grew up with, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that same kind of like aura follows them, into this
Mm-hmm.
year. Because we saw like I think it was a couple years they played y'all and got smoked,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
just like, man, at least Pittsburgh was keeping it close. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
now that defense is getting picked apart because I feel like a lot of their key guys are getting older. I feel
Yeah.
like TJ Watt is still elite. And then you got Derek Harmon, who I assume they drafted to fill in that Cameron Hayward spot. Um, but then you got the guy from uh, who the guy from that came from the Ravens. Is he still
Oh,
there?
Patrick Queen,
Yeah,
linebacker.
Patrick
Yeah.
Queen. Yeah, yeah. You got
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Queen and you got Highsmith. So no
Mm-hmm.
questions about the defensive line. I feel like that's always going to be, elite. But in terms of other positions, I don't think it's as scary as it used to be. And
Mm-hmm.
in terms of quarterback, like, are we still going to get the same Aaron Rodgers? And can he take them into, late fall, getting to a Super Bowl run? I just don't see it. And I feel
Yeah.
like this team is more so in a need of a rebuild, but they're refusing to accept that they need a rebuild.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I think that's gonna be their downfall this year. I mean, you're relying on a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and unfortunately, this is not like LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same kind of transition. A Rod's still tough, right? But he's not the A Rod from Green Bay back in 2010, right? This we're looking at a whole decade plus later playing quarterback. He still can make some throws, but I think we're definitely obviously. And he already said this is last year, so he'll be trying to go out on his sword, right? But I just don't have enough faith in anybody in Pittsburgh outside of DK Metcalf on their offense to do anything to help him, right? I think they paid Mr. Washington that 6'8" tight end they got out there, but he's mainly a blocker, but I don't think he's like a crazy pass threat, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then running back wise, I mean, you got somebody out there. I forgot Buddy's name
Jalen
now.
Warren, I think, right?
Yeah, I think Warren's out there. But I just don't see enough. You traded away Minka this year, which I think was a huge help to that defense in the secondary. So no Minka, and you leave your Joey Porter Jr. and I forgot who the other corner is out there. But I mean, I just don't see them coming any higher than third in the division. I really don't. I think A Rod kind of goes out sad in his last year, bro. I just don't. I know last year, a lot of Steelers fans are saying right now, "Oh, we won the division last year. Nobody had any faith in us." I really don't. I really have no faith in y'all this year. Really don't. No Mike T. Mike, I think we have to give Mike T his credit, bro. Mike T was the equalizer, right? I think he made y'all as Steelers fans. Y'all know I do not like y'all. Disdain, disdain. But I think that y'all know as much as I know that Mike T always gonna get my respect for one. But for two, he made that team go 9-8 and be just above average every year. Without Mike T, it can get scary in Pittsburgh, bro.
Yeah.
Y'all already wearing a lot of black, but you gonna see some real funerals if y'all don't win some games. I think to your point, Colin, that defense is just not the defense of old, and getting rid of Minka did not help. With no replacement back there to really justify the trade that they made for him. So yeah, I think that front seven could be solid. I mean, Cam obviously still there, and then they got Harmon still there. So that D line interior is gonna be nice. But after that, boy, it gets scary. Patrick Queen can't run around everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. And Mike McCarthy is never known for great defenses. He's an offensive guy. And I mean, I think with adding Pittman, that kind of frees up DK a little bit more, but you still have questions at running back and offensive line. And a
hmm
42-year-old with no offensive line is going to be very scary. So
yes,
I agree with you. I think third in division is at best, but as the team we're talking about, next is I I don't put it past them to be very sorry.
yeah,
So
me neither, bro.
we'll see. So speaking of that, is Deshaun Watson starting?
He better. I mean, he better. He doing all this, comeback videos and stuff like that. I mean, Cleveland got new quarter, wide receiver, not wide receiver. They do have new wide receivers, two of them to be exact. We also have a new head coach in Mister. I'm so
Todd,
sorry, Todd Monken.
Todd, yeah,
Yep,
Todd.
Todd Monken. Todd Monken. My bad, Todd. You was just in Baltimore. Um, but I think they have to. They honor is unfortunate for them. But they did it to themselves because they paid Deshaun so much money and a fully guaranteed contract. So because of these things, because of the situation that they put themselves in, they have to in that vein start him for at least probably 3 to 4 games. If he's Basura after those 3 or 4 games, then you switch over to Shador. But I think they have to start D Watt for those 4 games and see what they got.
Crazy thing is, like they made a lot of good moves outside of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like their defense is nice. I mean, you got Burst coming in. You still got Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, and even the dude from UCLA, Carson Swearinger. He had a
Yeah.
nice rookie season.
Oh yeah, but he's solid.
The question is going to be offense. I mean, you got the dude, what's his name from Texas A&M, Casey's Concepcion.
Oh yeah,
He's
Casey
coming in,
Mustafa and
and then you
Denzel
got
Ward.
Denzel
I
Boston.
mean Denzel
Yeah.
Boston. Excuse me.
And I assume that they're going to be starting Quinshon Justin Judkins.
Yeah, yeah,
But the
running back.
question is going to be a quarterback, right? How does Deshaun Watson look coming back? How does the city receive him? And being away from football that long, I just don't know what it's going to look like, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in that division. Like obviously, we just talked about Pittsburgh, but I feel like the AFC North is just known for physicality and defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure about some of the names I'm seeing with the offensive line. I just don't know what it looks like for Deshaun Watson to come back with elite defenses. Like I think it's going to be Christmas once he goes up against Jesse Minter the first time. Like for
Yeah.
him to never like the league looked differently when Deshaun Watson was at the top.
Nah, thanks.
So I, I feel like this is just them positioning themselves for next season, 2027. And I feel like, I won't even say sadly, I feel like this is the end of Deshaun Watson in terms of being a high paid elite quarterback, because
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like at best he's going to be a journeyman now.
Yeah,
Part of it was with the off the field allegations, but now I think just because of injuries and stuff, it's just going to look real scary coming, these next couple seasons.
for sure. And I think last thing I know we got to keep moving. Obviously, they lost the biggest and best person on their team, and Miles Garrett, and I think that's going to play tremendously. I think he
Yeah.
put pressure on that, on opposing quarterbacks without even trying, just off the sheer fact of him being on the field, and without that threat, I don't have to use 2 linemen or 3 linemen or two linemen and a running back to block anybody anymore. I think Verse is nice, right? But I don't know if he commands that same kind of fear and reverence that Miles Garrett does. So while I think like I said, he'll be solid out there in Cleveland, he won't have that same impact that Miles had out there. So I think that's going to also loom large in Cleveland, unfortunately. And like you said, they're not really unfortunate because they continue to do it to themselves, and what's going to happen in the coming years.
Yeah, like to that point though, I never thought about this, but I feel like if Deshaun is bad, like going into week two, I don't put it past them starting Shador, because for putting butts in the seats, I think people at least came to see Miles Garrett. But
Mm-hmm.
now with no Miles Garrett, you have no like star on their team.
Mm-hmm.
And with the off the field allegations, I don't think many people are coming to see Deshaun Watson anymore. So it's like now does ownership and the GM, like for the sake of ticket sales and just relevancy, do they just
Yeah,
go ahead and put Shador and kind of rock out from there just
that's
because
true.
Shador's influence?
That's true. It could be something that they definitely. I think they definitely look into it earlier than they did last year for sure, because they know what they have in Shador and they know that the fans, feel like he gives them a spark. So yeah, I think Deshaun is on a very very short lease and on super thin ice out there in Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, let's jump back to the NFC. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. And I think the biggest question is who's going to start at quarterback. I think they're paying Tua, so actually, I think Miami's paying most of the contract. So I'm curious to know what it's going to look like for them at quarterback. You still got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and I think the looming story is going to be what's going to happen with their All-Pro James Pierce Jr. and what that looks like for the dynamics of their defense.
Yeah.
I feel like for the longest, they've had a bunch of nice pieces, but they just haven't been able to put it together. And in that
Hmm.
division, they should be able to win a division now with Kevin Stefanski. But I still feel like we're going to deal with the 8-9, 9-8 Falcons again. So,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna give you my whole thoughts on the entire division. I say at one time. You know, the NFC South is always interesting to me because they be so sorry, bro. Everybody in the division be sorry. Sorry. Capital SORRY. Um, the Atlanta Falcons are the least sorriest because they have a lot of pieces out there. You got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Bijan, you got the defense, who I think has two up and coming tough defensive ends. Michael Penix and Tua. My goodness. I mean, you throw it up, I guess. I mean, just flip a coin and put somebody back there. I mean, I guess on paper you're gonna start Tua to see what you get out of him, and then let Michael come in if Tua stinks up the joint, which I don't put it past him to do. Um, so I think they have the best chance to win the division this year. I think that the Bucks lost Mike Evans, their star. So how does Baker respond to that with having just Chris Godwin out there to throw the ball to now? Lost Rashad White. Then they have another running back out there who is pretty solid out there as well. But defensively, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you just drafted Ruben Bain from Miami, but how much impact does he have as a rookie? And the Saints, I feel like this is the most evenly sorry division in the league. I think everybody can just be equally as sorry. Get into the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the boys should be decent. I think them in Atlanta probably had the best chances to win the division. But once again, because everybody's equally as sorry, I mean, on any given Sunday, the Bucks or the Saints could beat one of them and just be right there. So it's like I never can tell who's gonna be the least sorriest out of the sorry teams in that division. I think I'm gonna go to Atlanta this year. I don't know if Carolina has enough to come back. I think they kind of were, blessed to be in a position to go 8-9 and still win the division last year. I mean, when you think about that kind of stuff that happens all the time in the NFC South, my goodness. Yeah, I know I have a lot of hate from Panthers fans, Bucks fans, Saints fans, and Atlanta fans. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not care. Oh my gosh. We're gonna clip this. I'm gonna ask Hunter to clip that part specifically and put that on the podcast on the page so y'all can see me letting y'all know that I believe that this division will be sorry this year. I truly believe in my heart that y'all will be sorry this year. Um, I think the people expecting the Panthers to make it back to the playoffs, right? I know the city's talking about it out here in Charlotte. They can make it back, but I don't know, man. I don't have faith in Carolina to do that, bro. I just really don't. I really don't have faith. I really don't. I'm looking at the roster. I'm looking at the team. It's like cool. I mean, what Bryce Young are we gonna get this year? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's the start running back? I think that's another question. I mean, obviously, you finally found a wide receiver one in McMillan, right? I think that helps y'all tremendously to finally get Bryce a weapon out there. You also got Coker out there at the slot and Xavier Legette, who y'all hate, and I see why y'all hate him. Defensively, I mean, obviously, you got JC. I think that obviously Derek Brown to be back healthy this year as well. But I mean, I just don't. I don't see it, bro. I don't see it. I don't really see this division doing much.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where like when everybody around you is sorry, it just gives you like an excuse to be sorry because you don't have to do much.
Exactly.
And like I feel like that's the curse of this division because I'm looking
Yeah.
at the Panthers roster right now and I'm just not seeing I'm not seeing any guys. Like
No.
maybe Mooring from TCU on the defensive end, like Jalen Phillips, he was nice, but I think offensively they're a dumpster fire. And you say wide receiver Warren McMillan, he's nice. I just got to see another year's worth of data because, like, I mean, he could still be a good two, and we're just labeling him as a one because it's the Panthers. And the question is going to be on Bryce. Like, this is the year. Like, is he going to get paid or not? And I just feel like with that division is just round robin and sorriness. I feel like the Bucks have probably been the most consistent. And from a couple pods ago, I told you I think that the Saints could be, my sleeper team, with Shuck in another year and Kellen Moore in that offense. But I personally have the Saints winning the division. It's going to be Saints, Bucks, and then it's going to be Panthers and the Falcons, because I actually think the Falcons are going to be a dumpster fire. I have no faith in Tua at all, and I feel like they're going to be one of those surprise teams where it's just like we're going to see the real Kevin Stefanski, because I just don't think he's that good of a coach personally. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel like for the NFC South, they've got some soul searching to do. Because I'm with you. I think everybody in there is. I don't think I can guarantee that nobody in the NFC South will win the Super Bowl. Like I can guarantee it, and I just feel like that's been the case probably since the Cam Newton days, and you know how I feel about that. But yeah, um,
Yeah,
so yeah, let's keep going. Any more thoughts on the NFC South before we
not
keep?
at all. Not
Yeah,
at all.
AFC South. So I'll go ahead and start with the
Yeah, start me
Colts.
off.
So I feel like for the Colts, like we caught, lightning in a bottle with last year with Daniel Jones,
Hmm.
but we paid him money. He's getting paid 50 million, and I just feel like that was the wrong move moving forward because I think he's nice, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's necessarily a franchise quarterback. I feel
Hmm.
like the biggest problem for us is that Daniel Jones had us in a corner. We had to pay him because this year's draft, all of our picks are going to be going to the New York Jets for Sauce
Yeah.
Gardner, and our roster, when I first met you, we were talking about how the roster is nice and we're missing a quarterback. And I feel
Hmm.
like we saw flashes of it last season going 8-0, but I feel like it's just the chicken's coming home to roost. And I feel like now with Jonathan Taylor being our only real bright spot on the offense, he's getting, older. And I'm curious to know long term if he's going to request a trade from us
Yeah.
because he wants to play meaningful football. Like I said with Alex Pierce, I think he's going to have a lot of pressure because outside of him, like we got just guys, like nothing totally special. And I mean, Tyler Warren's a good, pickup at tight end. I feel like defense, we're going to be nice. Latu had a good season. And then we got Arden Keek from LSU. He's nice. And then
Hmm.
obviously another year of DeForest Buckner. The question for us is going to be on the back end, like what's Ahmad Gardner are we going to get? And that's been the question ever since he signed because he's a very physical corner,
Hmm.
and he was leading the lead in pass interference. And there's a couple of times he was getting blown past,
Yeah.
and like on the back end we still got Cam Bynum, but once again it's going to be for what? Because who are we starting? Are we going to do AR and audition him to trade him, or are we going to go with Riley Leonard until Daniel Jones gets healthy? And I feel like in this division, you got probably one of the best defenses in the NFL with the Texans, and I just don't have faith in us this season. And it's really going to be sad because this is the one time I want us to tank, but we don't have any picks. So it's like, what's the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't say no better than you, brother. That's your team. I think, like you said, you got JT out there, and I feel bad for Buddy. Because I mean, I know he wants to be great, but Indy's just not supposed to be great at. So I mean, I paid Alex Pierce. So, I mean, I think he should put up big numbers for y'all, right? In theory. But the question then becomes, AR, y'all do y'all trust AR? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you probably gonna have to. I mean, you don't as a fan. I know you don't want to, but with Daniel Jones, I don't know if he's gonna be ready for week one. So I think you gotta trust AR at least for a couple weeks until DJ gets back, right? Um, and then defensively, I mean, it's a lot of prayers and supplications gonna be taking place on doing that defense, brother. So I can't say because I can't say no more than you can, obviously. So I'm gonna just leave it there.
Yeah, I feel like high key, we need to do what the Jets did last season and
Hmm.
just go on a fire sale and just prepare for 28
Hmm.
and hope that there's a guy who's disgruntled. I'm wishfully thinking, but like a
Yeah,
Joe Burrow type of situation where that somebody wants to get out,
yeah,
and if we can just take picks and pieces and make a trade for 28. But until then, it's just gonna be some scary hours. Another team that just went through some scary hours is Tennessee. Um, I think adding Robert Sala changes the
hmm,
dynamic of their team. And with Cam Ward, I personally didn't have any real faith with Cornell Tate. I think he was a nice college receiver. I don't know if that transitions to him being a number one receiver in the league. I think sometimes people can get fooled with the 40-yard dash.
yeah,
But outside of that, their roster is very dismal.
yeah,
Um, I, what are your thoughts? I don't really have much to say on Tennessee.
yeah. I don't have nothing good to say. Um, I think Cam can be better with Cornell, right, Mr. Tate. So yeah, wishing him all the best with Mr. Tate. But the defense actually could be solid. I think Robert Sala coming in with they just paid Simmons a lot of money to
Yep.
be great, which I know he is. I mean, he obviously he don't get paid for nothing, right? But the question then becomes, what happens with that division? I don't think they're good enough to beat the Texans at all. Um, they can probably barely get past y'all, honestly, and then they're definitely not beating the Jags. So at best, they can pray and hope that y'all just have an off day for two straight games and it can come third in the division. I think that's the best hope that they got for it because they're not taking care of business against the Jags or the Texans.
Yeah. Um, let's keep going. I don't really have anything else to say. Let's talk about the Jaguars. I know you had them fringe top 10 on your list,
Yeah.
but going into the season, like, how do you feel about Jaguars?
Yeah, bro, Jack should be decent, bro. I think Trevor will be back healthy. I think they'll have a good opportunity with also Travis being back healthy as well. They lost Trevor Lawrence. He's in New Orleans, which I actually forgot about with the NFC South. Wouldn't have changed something I said, but I think it does, give them some opportunity to not be as sorry. They might not come last. They may come third. So yeah, I think that helps them out there. But anyways, back to the Jags. I think they still have Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ. And they also still have, like I said, I think they'll use Travis more on the defense side of the ball this year. So I think is what they've talked about, which I think really will help his career trajectory as well. I think he can really be an elite corner in the NFL. I think he has the skill set, he has the height, he has the ball skill to do all of the things to be an elite corner in the league this year. So if they allow him to do that with sprinkles of offense, keep him happy, or whatever, they should be really decent, bro. I think they have a good roster. I think they have added some pieces as well in the draft and other places like that to kind of make them a little bit more competitive. So I think that they're going to win the division. Nah, I think Houston still wins it, just with a healthy team. But I think they'll definitely be could do enough to get to the wild card.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I don't know about wild card because I think our division is going to be sorry outside of the Texans. I feel like the onus is really going to be put on on Trevor Lawrence, because I think for Liam Cohen, he showed that he's a decent coach. But I feel like Trevor Lawrence is really on that debt trajectory, where it's just like he's okay, but I think he can have some big moments. I feel like the whole Travis Hunter experience, I personally, it feels me, just put him on defense because I think he can be an elite corner.
Yeah.
And I feel like looking at their roster, that is what they need because I feel like they're solid on the defensive end. And, just in terms of the trenches, like you got Eric Armstead, you got Trevon Walker, you got even Josh Allen still from Kentucky, who's all solid guys. But I feel like on the back end, like some of these guys, I'm like, all right, outside, yeah, I was going to say Eric Murray, like he's nice. But I feel like they signed another corner. I'm trying to remember his name. I'm looking on the roster. Didn't they sign somebody to a big contract on the corner in Jacksonville? Am I tripping?
Let me take a look at their roster.
Yeah, they need Travis.
No, they definitely need Travis to play corner for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
No doubt. So yeah.
might have been Jordan Lewis. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I think on the back end they need Travis. So I'll keep him there, and we just need a bigger year from Brian Thomas Jr. They got Parker Washington. Parker Washington is kind of nice. Like he definitely had some bright spots. So I'm curious to know like what the offense looks like because I don't know like without Travis, I just don't know what they do at running back. They got Chris Rodriguez and Amir Abdullah, but they need a running back.
For sure.
So
I was like, who?
Yeah, they have a lot of holes, and so I just feel like they're not gonna win any playoffs game or make the playoffs, in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about the Texans. I think Texans are gonna win the division personally.
I don't have much to say about them outside of them winning the division.
Yeah, so I
love their Stroud come back.
You said what?
And consider Stroud come back to form.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to kind of focus on with this team is like the question is going to be kind of that Bryce Young question. Do you pay him long term? Because last year I feel like he just needed to be a game manager for them to win the Super Bowl, and he couldn't do that. Oh, it would make the Super Bowl, but he couldn't do that. And it seems like when he came into the league, he broke the Ohio State quarterback curse. But the longer he plays, the more he starts to look like the Ohio State quarterbacks. So I'm curious to know, like, what are your thoughts on CJ going into the season? Because I feel like it's a make or break year for him in terms of how he's viewed as an elite quarterback.
Bro, TJ has all the pieces, bro, to be elite. I think he just has to put it all together, bro. I think he doesn't really have the defense is elite, right? Offensively, I mean, he has pieces. I mean, he's never had the excuse if he hasn't had pieces. Now his pieces have not always been healthy, right? So I think that's played a big part into it. And the O line has obviously been abysmal as well throughout his duration. But I mean, I think they have tried to make some adjustments. They added into what's his name, David Montgomery, at running back for him, to give him some relief out there. I think he'll be a good key addition for them this year. And I think once again, you're in a sorry division, so I mean, like it shouldn't really be too much of a thing for you to win, bro. Like just win the division, just handle business, and then you get to playoffs. Just try your best, try your best. That's all I can tell you to do there. I mean, because
Yeah,
once again, this defense is elite, so you don't have to do much. Like you said, just continue to manage the doggone game. Throw it to your guys and pray that they're healthy come the end of the year. I think that's been a big issue. But I mean, gosh, it's given to you. I mean, quarterbacks dream of this kind of defense. Dream of it. To just I gotta go up and just hand the ball off or throw a little 20-yard dump and I can get in field goal range and my defense is gonna stop the other team from scoring immediately. Man, that's cake. So
yeah.
handle your business, CJ.
I don't think they pay him if they don't win the division. They don't win the division. I think he's going to get franchise tag, and I feel like we could be in a Kirk Cousins situation.
Mm.
Like you said, there's no excuse. And the problem, the sad thing is, defenses like elite defenses
Yeah.
never age the way that elite offenses do.
Yeah.
And like we've seen it with Legion of Boom, we've seen it with the No Fly Zone with Denver Broncos. I feel like we're talking about that category in terms of that the Houston Texans defense. But if they don't have anybody on offense to get it done, then it's just going to be like, man, do you remember? Rather than like
Mhm.
any actual hardware to go with it. So like you said, like I don't think there's is the division's hand to them, especially even as a Colts fan. I'm like, it's y'all's to win. So if y'all can't even win this division, then I just don't have faith in CJ moving forward with this team. Um,
Yeah. I don't know about
so
that. Personally, I think that they still would have to pay him. I think they kind of get into a tour situation where they kind of gotta pay him. Um, because yeah, 27's come with a good class, but do I trust a rookie to come in to do handle business? That's what it comes down to, I think, for them. And I don't know if that's the case.
but as a fellow black man,
Yeah.
do you feel like D'Amico Ryans is safe if they don't win the division?
They don't win the division. Heck no, he's not safe. Not with that defense. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think if
Unfortunately.
if they don't win the division, I don't know if D'Amico Ryans is safe, and I think the new regime they probably will start all the way over and get another quarterback. Personally,
Yeah. Yeah. But then I want to start over with that defense too, because then I'm back in the same position. So it's like not the devil I know, because I think CJ's a very solid quarterback, bro. I just think he just I don't know. Last year just looked like he was just not there all the way. I don't know if it was something going on. He just wasn't talking about whatever the case may be. But if he got to be back, he just has to be, bro. He has to be. He showed me
I,
too much in the rookie year. I think he has to be back this year.
yeah.
Leave it there.
All right, let's keep going. So I think this is the best division of football, the NFC West.
Okay.
So let's start. Let's get the start team out of the way. So Arizona Cardinals. I think they're going to go forward with Jacoby Brissett. What are your thoughts about the Cardinals going into the season?
Let's talk about the other three teams. Yeah, I'm not wasting my time, bro. Hey, Cardinals fans, y'all know what it is. Let's just talk about the other three teams, bro. Like, come on. Let's
All right. So let's go to the 49ers. The 49ers last season were riddled with injuries. And even in the playoffs, they were getting ready to beat the Eagles until George Kittle went down. So with the roster coming back as is, I feel like the biggest question is going to be at receiver with all this Brandon Ayuk situation that happening. You feel that slot with Mike Evans, who our guy,
Yeah.
I can still compete for that 1,000 yard again. I know
Mm-hmm.
he didn't get it last year, but I feel like low key, like he's still get credit.
Yeah.
But defensive wise, they still got Nick Bosa. You obviously lost Sala, so I'm curious to know. I don't even know who the defensive coordinator is now, but you got Michael Williams, um, and Fred Warner. Yeah, so a couple solid guys on every level. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah. San Fran's always been one of those teams where like they're good, right? I think they're good and they have the pieces to be better. I think Nick Bosa like gives them opportunity. My question always comes down to what is Brock Purdy going to do? You know how I feel about Brock Purdy. Like I think he's a good game manager, but like I think sometimes the Niners also need some eliteness out of their quarterback, and I don't know if Brock gives them that trajectory. I think, of course, you still got Christian McCaffrey still there. You still got the receivers. Obviously, you add in Mike. You got outside of Mike though. I'm like Kittle and who else? You got some old dogs out there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Christian
that
Kirk.
because so when it comes to the rest of that team, I think that you have to look at it and say, dang, you know, how long can we keep this? Can we keep this thing moving? Right? I think they're a really good team and solid. Obviously, took them a long way. Obviously, that's why you got a head coaching job. So can this new DC come in and continue on that trajectory of what this defense does? Even with the injuries, they were still top 10. So yeah, I think with the pieces back, with the guys back, man, they can make some things happen. So let's see what they got, man. I think that they can honestly push for second in the division this year. I think they could take over for. It's gonna be tough for sure, right? I think they can take over and beat the Seahawks though, just slightly for second in the division. And at worst, I think at worst they tie for second. I think the Rams for me are the clear first, but I think the Seattle may have something to say about that as well. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that this division overall, sticking with San Fran though, it's all going to be vital in what they can do because I think they could take a game from the Rams or the Seahawks. I think they're that team for them. They remind me of kind of what Minnesota wishes they could be, right?
Mm.
It's kind of like
Interesting take.
I can
Yeah,
take I can take a game from either the top or the second team and boost us up. I don't know if
yeah,
Minnesota has that in them because of their quarterback situation. I think that San Fran has it in them because of their defense though, and because of the pieces that they can seem to add. So
yeah. Who's a better quarterback? CJ Stroud or Brock Purdy?
CJ Stroud, hands down, no questions asked for me.
No, not at all.
And you're asking who the better quarterback, who's the best game manager? There's a difference.
Who the best quarterback?
CJ
I
Stroud.
think I think Brock Purdy is a better quarterback than CJ Stroud.
Yeah. I think you're.
I
I
mean,
think
yeah,
you're
Hunter,
doing
clip
a difference,
this.
no? Huh?
I was telling
It's
Hunter to clip this. Yeah, make
yeah.
sure.
Please click this.
I want to hear
Click
what he
this too,
said.
Hundo. Yeah. CJ Stroud over. You got Brock Purdy over CJ. I'm sorry,
Yes.
CJ, bro. CJ. Hey, CJ. You heard it from me first, dog. I believe in you. I believe in you. And when people are putting Brock Purdy ahead of you, what are you gonna do about it?
Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy.
What are you gonna do about it, CJ? I'm gonna look at you dead in the camera. What are you gonna do about it, CJ? Brock, he said Brock Purdy, CJ. Brock Purdy, CJ. What are you gonna do about it? All
Brock
right.
Purdy. Brock
Yeah.
Purdy's
Yeah. Click that, Hundo. Click that. Click this.
Purdy is
Click
a better
this.
quarterback than CJ Stroud. Yes. Yes. All right. Yeah, let's keep going. Yeah. So in terms of the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers is actually Raheem Morris from Atlanta.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah,
very
so
good for them. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Hey, like I said, they can steal a game, bro, and be second at division.
yeah, I agree. Let's go to the Super Bowl winners. Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, they lost a lot of pieces this offseason. Obviously, you had to start paying some guys. But you lost one of their corners and Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. But they're going to replace him, I assume, with Zach Charbonnet from UCLA. I guess, like, the expectations is, go back to back. The coach, who's the coach again? I'm
For
tripping.
Seattle?
Mike McDaniel, right?
Mike
McDonald. Mike McDonald, yeah. He was saying that this is not even like they're not considering like a back to back. This is a new year, and so in front of the defense, I think like kind of the same way I was talking about with Green Bay. I feel like one of the specialties with Mike McDonald's defense is like they really play by committee, and so their entire defense is it's like kind of like in basketball how they talk about moving the defense moving on the string. Same thing I saw with Seattle's defense last year. You add in a Demarcus Lawrence last year who gave that veteran presence, but you still got a lot of young guys. And so I'm just curious to know like if that defense can keep up what they did last year, because I feel like for Sam Darnold's a nice quarterback, but I still think he needs an elite defense behind his belt because he's losing a lot of pieces offensively. And we're expecting like a Zach Charbonnet to step in and be a Kenneth Walker. And even from Jackson Smith and Jigba, like, can he continue to be that number one top 10 kind of wide receiver going into next season. Because there's some holes on this team too. And I feel like last year, the Rams are probably like, hey, we make one or two more plays. We definitely should have been playing the Patriots instead of Seattle. So
yeah.
curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah, bro. I think that Seattle definitely has a big question mark at running back. Obviously, you bring back, player of the year, I think, or wide receiver of the year, or maybe offensive player of the year in Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? So I think that he'll come back in and continue to do what he does is dominate on the receiver position. Sam got to be a game manager, but I think a part of that game management though was Kenneth Walker. So without that running back there, I don't know, it might get scary for him. I think that he can regress. Honestly, I think he was solid enough to get the job done, right? But without a running back back there, a good running back, he can regress for sure. Defensively, I think they lost a couple pieces as well. But I still have faith in Mike to get the job done with that defense. They still got Tariq Woolen, still got Devon Witherspoon out there, still got enough guys out there to make enough plays to where, and it's still Mike. Mike's gonna have the defense humming. So offensively, I think the question just becomes how do you replace K Walk, right? Obviously, with him being such a vital piece to that offense, obviously you still got JSN. But what does that happens with that? And then going to the Rams, switching over real quick, I think that those guys are the blueprint right now for the NFC. I think they just I don't see any holes on that offense or the defense right now that need to be addressed at this current moment in time. I believe Matt Stafford's coming to the end. I think he maybe has a good year or two at max left in his tank. So I think that yeah, I think this is getting to the end, and you just obviously just drafted a first round quarterback who I think is going to be terrible. But I think that you have to win now because if something happens to Matt or you don't win it this year, you just paying a lot of guys to be good, but the quarterback ain't gonna be good. So, yeah, I don't remember what was Buddy's name they draft. I was just
Ty
in.
Simpson. I don't think Ty Simpson's gonna be terrible, bro. Like I feel like under Sean McVay, like I just don't think he's gonna be as bad as JJ McCarthy. So, but hopefully you don't, like you said, if they're healthy, you don't have to deal with that problem until 2 years from now. So
Hey,
maybe
hold up, hold up. Who's better, Ty Simpson or Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I think too. So
Yeah,
if I'm
I'm just saying
yeah,
if he has a 2 year buffer, like I think he can be way better than Anthony Richardson, just in terms of mechanics. Because like I told you, AR is what missing checkdowns. Like I feel like the problem with Ty Simpson is like Ty Simpson can make all the reads, but he's not going to be the quarterback to take you over the hump. It's going to be one of those situations like or Jared Goff early in his career. Even Jared Goff now is going to be like yeah, he can make the right reads, but it's like we need a Justin Herbert or a Joe Burrow to get over the hump. And so with Sean McVay, hopefully they can continue to surround him with talent so he doesn't have to make a lot of big plays in order to win games.
yeah,
So I agree with you. I don't see many holes. If it was me personally, I would not have picked Ty Simpson that high. But I'm sure that the Rams had this Myles Garrett move in mind when they made the pick. And so their roster is going to get very expensive, and you need a quarterback on a rookie type deal in order to keep this roster up, right?
yeah,
I think it's their division to lose, though. I feel like the only thing that can really stop them, knock on wood, is injuries. And so if they
yeah.
can stay healthy, I think that they're going to be the favorites coming out of the out of the NFC. So just for the sake of time, like let's go to the AFC West. So let's start with the Raiders. Obviously adding in Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. What are your thoughts going into the season with this roster?
Yeah, bro. I think the Raiders actually going to be okay, bro. I don't think they're gonna be they're not going to be definitely not number one pick overall again next year. I think there'll be a lot more sorrier teams than them. Will they still be top 10? More likely, but will they be number one? Nah, I don't think so. I think that Mendoza comes in and he'll have the opportunity to learn from Kirk Cousins. And I think that they'll start off with Kirk, giving Mendoza some time to. I think he has like you mentioned with a buffer, right? With Ty, I think Mendoza gets opportunity, which is rare for number one of our picks to learn from a guy that's. I don't think Kirk is elite in any word of the form, but he's also not the sorriest quarterback you can learn from either, right? I think you can really learn to be solid from Kirk Cousins because I mean obviously he's been a journeyman, but he's Mr. Keep a Check. I'll tell you that. That's what Kirk Cousins is. And so if anything, Mendoza can learn, hey, I got some things I can learn from you that can help me. And even if halfway through the season they're like, all right, we can hand the reins over to Mendoza, he'll be ready for that. But I think by from the tutelage of Kirk, I think Kirk knows this is not his team forever, right? I think he knows this is a 1 year rental for him, which he's fine with because he's getting paid. Um, Offensively, I think they added in some pieces. Obviously, still have Genty out there. They signed Tyler Linderbaum, one of the best centers in football. The O line gets better immediately. Um, they also signed some receivers out there as well to give Fernando, that's his name, Fernando Mendoza some help, right? Defensively, obviously you kept Mad Max. You added in a linebacker from Philly. What's his name? Shucks. I forgot buddy's name. Dang it. Linebacker from Philly. He went to
On the Kobe
UG.
Dean, right?
Yep, Nakobe Dean. They got Nakobe Dean out there. They still got some pieces out there on the defense side of the ball as well. So I don't think that they're going to be super sorry. In regards to they're gonna be sorry, but not super sorry. So
Yeah, I just don't know what the plan is with the Kirk Cousins Mendoza fiasco.
mhm.
Um, I I'm looking at their roster. I feel like a big hole for them is going to be wide receiver. Um, and I think Brock Bowers is probably going to lead their team in receiving yards,
Mhm.
which him as a tight end, that's not uncommon, but it's just like a sign that this is a need.
Yeah.
And then they got pieces. I feel like they're going to be a tough out for a lot of teams, like especially in that division. I feel like I could see Kansas City maybe dropping a game to them.
Mhm.
Same thing with the Chargers, but I don't think they're going to be good. I feel like for them, the question is going to be, what are we going to, what building blocks can we like have for next season? Because if it's me, I would keep Kirk Cousins on as a savvy vet, but I would start Fernando, see what you got.
Yeah.
And I would definitely like let him fail early so that he can develop into a good quarterback. And you can always lean on Kirk Cousins. Like I think
Mhm.
that if he's super sorry, you can put Kirk Cousins in. But I just don't think that they're ready to win yet. Right? They
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
lot more losing to do before they get into a viable contender. So yeah. Um, the Chargers. I personally think the Chargers can compete for the top place in this division. Um, the problem is once again is the wide receiver room. Like I think there's still going to be a lot of holes. Obviously, your guy Quentin Johnson is
My guy.
back.
My guy.
Yeah,
My guy.
your guy. Um, uh, I opened their roster and the first name I see is DJ Ukulele. Yeah, that's not a good sign. Um, but yeah, you got Amarion Hampton. I think they still got Najee Harris. Um,
Yeah, I think so. Not right there.
David Njoku is a Charger. So yeah, I feel like they got some nice pieces, but I trust Jim Harbaugh. I think that he's gonna have the team, obviously he got his two guys back on the offensive line with Rashawn Slater
Yeah.
and Joe Alt. So I think that those are two Hall of Famers personally.
Hmm.
And Jim Harbaugh has always been the type to keep the game close and to really win the line of scrimmage in terms of physicality. So I think they do that this season. I feel like Chargers are one of the teams where the roster doesn't look like they can be a contender, but I feel like you'll look up and be like, oh man, they're already 11-5. So I definitely have faith in them in terms of being good this season.
I'm glad that you do because I don't. Um, Yeah, I think the Chargers. I mean, obviously had the opportunity to be solid, and James, I know you're gonna watch this. I'm actually asking Hunter to clip this part just for you, brother. I think the Chargers had the opportunity to be good, right? I think that Jim puts him in a good position to be good, but do I trust Justin Herbert to get the job done? Not 100%. Do I trust that defense to get the job done without Jesse Minter? With what pieces? Not 100%. I mean, you got Derwin James and God bless him. He's one of the top safeties in football. But that defense was not good last year. Jesse Minter put them in the right positions to be better, right? Um, Without Jesse out there, I don't know who your DC is right now. That's for one. And for two, I don't think y'all have pieces to be good at this. I think y'all can get a lot of points scored on y'all. So offensively, I mean, you got like I said, I believe in Hampton. I believe in I believe in I believe in
Glad
Hampton.
McConkey.
Lad McConkey too, and I'll give you that. And Herbo, eh, Herbo cool. Herbo's cool, bro. I mean, he's cool. I after the playoff game, I saw him play against that defense, and knowing that that's the kind of things that he'll need to kind of win against this year in AFC. I don't have a lot of faith in that. And one of them being in his division in Denver. So yeah, um, I think their ceiling is with Patrick Mahomes being back, third place at best.
Okay, let's go there. So you got the Chiefs.
Yep.
Obviously, probably had one of their most disappointing season last season,
Mm-hmm.
and in a while. But you got Pat coming back, and Pat has another weapon with Kenneth Walker in the backfield. Obviously, you got Travis coming back, and at wide receiver, you got Rasheed Rice, who has had some off the field issues, but you
Mm-hmm.
got Xavier Worthy coming back. Um, I feel like the biggest question is going to be offensive line again because I'm looking at some of the dudes and I'm like, okay, outside of maybe Josh Simmons, who was had a good rookie season, you're
Mm-hmm.
putting your faith in Jalon Moore, who's nice, but outside of that, it's just kind of like offensive line by committee. I feel
Yeah.
like defensively, they're still going to be good. The question is really going to be on the line. Like Karloftis has to have an elite year, and this is a really big contract year for him. But I personally, watch a lot more college football. I like our Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. He was one of their key pieces before he got hurt. And obviously, you got Chris Jones and Peter Woods. So defensively, I think they're still going to be in a nice place. Nick Bolton, and then you got the guy Masur Delane. Only question for Mr. Delane is like you have to come in being the guy. It's not no like I have Trent McDuffie, nobody on the other side. Even with Trent McDuffie, he had a luxurious need early on in his career that he could rely on. But now
Mm-hmm.
Mansour is going to be the guy that he's probably going to travel with a lot of the top wide receivers. And so
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what that looks like on the back end. And for Pat, the question is, are you going to rush him back? Or are you gonna they sign Justin Fields? Are you gonna let Justin Fields play a couple of weeks and then go with Patrick Mahomes? And I think they're still gonna be the hunted team. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to, get a
Yeah.
piece of the Chiefs.
For
So
sure.
I don't know if they have the same firepower that they did when they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to get over some of the teams that are just better than them.
Hmm. That's true. That's true. I agree with that, bro. I think that the addition or the comeback of Patrick, man, it makes a world of difference for them out there for their in Kansas City. So I think that alone really will help them kind of get back to being one of the top teams, top two easily in the division. I think the defense, like you said, is much improved as well. And I think that they'll be able to get it done, bro. And now come playoffs, don't know. I don't know what we're gonna see. I don't know if this is the same dominant Chiefs team that we've seen in years prior, right? I think we're kind of getting on the other side of that Chiefs dynasty talk. I think the Broncos will have some things to say about that. The defense is still elite out there. Um, I think that we'll see what happens, but I got faith in. I'm gonna say Chiefs are back to being first in the division, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm gonna say they're back. They've done enough this offseason, and just once again, the addition of Patrick does enough for them in itself to get back to one. And I just
Yeah.
don't know if I, if you're asking me if I'm choosing, uh, what's his name, Bo Nix, who just got injured as well, over Patrick, then you've lost your mind. So even with the defense, I'm still gonna go ahead and say the Chiefs.
All right. Who's better, Bo Nix or CJ Stroud?
Hey CJ, it's me again. It's John. I want you to see the disrespect that you taking on this podcast, brother. Not for me. Not for me though. Not for me. I got faith in you, CJ. This man just asked me, "Are you better than Bo Nix, CJ?" He just asked me, "Are you better than Bo Nix, CJ?" What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? The choice is yours, CJ. The choice is yours. The
where,
choice is
where,
yours. I'm taking CJ Stroud over Bo Nix.
where? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's a toss up. Just based on these past couple seasons, or but last season. Um, but I guess segue into the Broncos conversation. I feel like the Broncos are probably one of the most complete teams in this division. Obviously, a lot of it falls on Bo Nix, but you added in Jalen Waddle, which I think solidifies their wide receiver room. Defensively, I think they still have Vance Joseph back, but that defense was one of the most elite defenses outside of the Texans last year. And having McClenny back on the offensive line, I feel like there's not many places outside of quarterback where there's questions.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious to know, like, going into next season, the question is going to be, man, if Bo Nix was healthy, we could have won the Super Bowl last year. But this season, your schedule's gotten tougher, the division's gotten better. Like, what do you think is the expectation for the Broncos going into next season? Is the Super Bowl a bust, or is it still
Well, well,
trending?
first of all, I'm going to make a correction. If Bo Nix thought they would have made it to the Super Bowl last year, winning
Yeah,
was going to be a whole different ordeal.
I'm
But
saying from there, from internally, they're probably thinking that they could have won.
yeah, and internally, I'm sure that that's exactly what they're thinking. But I'm here to tell y'all right now, y'all were not gonna win the Super Bowl last year. Y'all would have made it. Y'all would have made it for sure. But winning it was, anyways. But made that correction really quickly. But I think going into this season here, Bo Nix, we don't know if he's gonna be healthy. One of us gonna be back fully healthy, right? I think that's gonna be play a key part into what happens in Denver this year. I think they did add Jalen Waddle, which would be a good addition to that team. I think the defense will still be elite, which is why I have them coming second in that division, which will be enough for them to make the playoffs again. I think go on maybe a divisional game run, at best, I'd say. I
Yeah,
don't know if they make it back to the championship this year, just because I think Lamar is back, Patrick is back, Josh will be back. Obviously, they just beat Josh last year, but I don't know if they beat Josh 2 years in a row, if they see him again. And once again, if they do, then we have to have more conversation. Um, but I think that they are still an elite defense. I think that Bo can come back. I don't have the utmost faith in Bo to have the same season he had last year. I think that's my that think that's the thing. And that quarterback being the most important position in football, you have to kind of know that you're gonna go in with a guy. I think Bo is solid, but is he good enough to win? Consistently, I don't believe that with my whole heart. So I can't co-sign that out there in Denver. I think they'll have a very good season. I can see them easily going 11 and 6, 12, 10 and 7. So yeah, I think they'll be able to handle some business early on. But getting the job done and getting over that hump again, I think that's not going to happen. To be honest.
mm, yeah. So who do you have winning this division again? You said Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yeah, Chiefs.
Yeah, yeah. I personally think I'll go Broncos 1, Chargers 2, Chiefs 3, and then I'll go Raiders 4. Um, yeah, I think there's too many questions right now for like Kansas City going into next season. But I feel like Denver is one of the teams where I trust the coach, I trust their roster. I just don't know what I'm getting out of Bo Nix. Now, the granted, I feel like it could be a game of musical chairs because, like you're right, Bo Nix is not healthy, and if I have to deal with some Jarrett Stidham games, it could get dark real early.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like any more thoughts? I know we've gone through every team, but
Yeah. Nah, brother, I think we've done a great job going over every team in the league. I think that this is gonna be a good season, and I pray this every season. I pray health because I want to see the best of the best. I think that everybody's best allows me to really see who's elite. I think that you can have some false things happen, New England Patriots, if people are injured, right? I think that then you get false fanhood, false confidence, at least a whole different can of worms that we got to go into, and then we get hearing people thinking that they're good when they're, in actuality, you were good for that time based upon the things that you faced, right? Are you good when the best of the best is at their best? That's
yeah,
that's when I really know that teams are elite.
yeah.
So that's what I want to see this year, and that's what I pray we are able to see this year. Because I think as fans we deserve that, bro. I think we haven't necessarily had that, and I think that this would be a good year for a lot of teams, and we're also able to call out the sorry teams as well, and have you know define sorriness in the league this year. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, I'm gonna leave it at that. We've been here for almost 2 hours, so
Yeah, for sure. I agree, man. I think it's going to be an interesting season. I feel like there's going to be a lot of surprises. The question is going to be like, man, can the elite team stay elite and keep their health, like you said,
Mhm.
and can like the mid tier teams take that next step up, like your Dallas Cowboys, um, and even like the Chargers. I feel like it's one of those mid teams. Like, can they step into that elite category? But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for the season. I'm excited to see how these young boys play, especially some of these rookies like Arvell Reed, Sonny Styles, and even Fernando Mendoza. But overall, man, I'm excited for this season because it feels like every day is getting closer and closer. Especially with preseason game coming up soon. So yeah, I'm good.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all tapping into the Winning Shot podcast. If y'all been watching us this long, we truly appreciate y'all. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share, man. Any questions, concerns, comments, anything y'all wanted to touch on or talk about, let us know. Put it in the comments, and we'll be sure to get to it. CJ Stroud. You see it, you hear it, brother. I got faith. I got faith. All right, man. We'll see you on the next one episode, man. We love y'all. Peace.